very busy pit lane now. I would suggest all going for an intermediate tyre because a wet wouldn't survive. And safety car, we see a deranged stack of tyres. Number 2 point coming through, and we're going to see a car off somewhere. It looks like the car has gone off and continued. I think that was the 7 car that made that error. We can see a car just behind the tyre wall on the left-hand side. Oh, ooh. The number 3 Audi. Oh. That car looks like it'll get back to me, but it's had a rear impact. Audi, the masters of dragging these cars back in a bag of bits and turning them round. But doesn't that change the complexion of the race? Marco Bononomi making that mistake. And I think that is, yeah, before the first chicane. So he spun that car at high speed. Very, very lucky. Come away with very little damage. And I think you can hear the engine still running.
Well, it looks pretty bad at the back end. I'm really surprised.
That's some rain, Bob. You can barely see your hand in front of your face down there. So we have car 8, 3, and 81 stopped. So car 8 is the Nick Lapierre Toyota. Wow, this is a big shake-up.
Yeah.
Where is the 3?
Once again,
we know where
the
3 is.
Oh, no, was this?
He got turned around, didn't he? He got turned around. And on the right-hand side, the 8 car, which has suffered heavier front-end damage. So this is while battling, and with GTE cars, all of those cars together having an accident, trying to go forward breast down the Mulsanne. Those cars both look like, by now, they should be turned around and heading back.
A lot of debris on the circuit as well. The 8 car very much looked after by Orica and mechanics. That's the one that just happens to look after, although Orica work throughout the...
Nick Lapierre at the wheel, so we see Marco Bononomi strapping himself back into the car.
Yeah, he's been out the car briefly just to sort of take something away from in front of him.
And that's absolutely fine. He's entitled to do that. As long as he doesn't leave more than 15 metres from the car, he will not become classified DNF.
Right.
So he can do that. He can get out the car, work on the car. He may even have to remove a drive shaft boot, something to lose a wheel to drive that car back. But we're on board with Marco now. He looks to be moving. No, he's twiddling knobs on the steering wheel.
There's a lot of debris lying around there, isn't there?
There is. It's all bodywork. Nothing that looks unfixable, which is why I'm surprised to see Nick Lapierre. He's opened the door. He's talking to the team. The team will be looking at things like push rod loads, other things that they can get through the telemetry to try and work out what the damage is. So all the push rods have strain gauges on them, so they can actually check the corner weights of the car as it's driving around. It's sitting there over on the left-hand side.
Both facing the wrong way, aren't they?
It is.
Both of the cars.
Marco, I think he's going to get that car out. The AF Corsa car there looking more damaged. To be fair, that left front shot.
That was the 81 car that got involved with them, the 81 Ferrari, which was also stopped out there. Let's have a look at that. Sam Bird.
Nobody really clearing the debris, which is a concern for me, that we need to just... they shouldn't run through carbon fibre shards, basically. No. But let's see how this one pans out. It's, yeah, the Ferrari, more damage on that car than the cars on either side of the circuit, the Toyota and the Audi. Looks like the front of that is absolutely stuffed. But remember, we did see the deranged tyre wall as well.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's going on here, right in the foreground.
And there does look like a car being lifted.
Here it is again.
They were crawling, Bob. They weren't going fast. And the factory Porsche GTE car, lucky to get through that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Sam Bird looks as though he collected something and stopped. This is what happens.
A very odd accident. I'm not entirely certain what to say about that one. It just... Yeah, people tripping over at one another at not a great rate of knots. So Nick Lapierre has the Toyota. Marco Bononomi already... No, Marco's still there, but the 8 car, marshals are allowed to help him turn that car around. That's no problem. Yeah. He can now just power slide that car around because the back wheels don't look deranged. Rear wing is broken, but that front clip will be changed very quickly. The damage on that Toyota very light.
It's not too bad, is it?
They've lost a lap sitting there. but I'd be surprised if they lose another one in the pits. They can change all of that pretty quick.
He hasn't got a lot of lock, has he?
Absolutely not. No, these cars not having much luck, which is why I'm surprised he didn't just boot it and turn that car around, letting the marshals help him. But of course, under safety car, minimising the lost time.
I'm just wondering if he's actually lost lock, and that's what happened. Here's a replay. Now this is
what happened to the other
squirrely.
car. KCM G47 car. Oh no, gutting for these guys. They've been having such a good run. Oh, again, if he can get that car back, to me, yep, and that car now running. He went in backwards, but no damage on the rear of that car. Right front corner took a hit as he hit the tyre wall on the left-hand side. He's now getting that car back. He's well on his way back. So they can change that front bodywork, check the tracking. They'll have track rods made up already if the Toyota has got a situation where they've got a problem with having lost some lock. They'll have track rods, even complete corners made up with dry brake couplings on the brake calipers, so they can just unclick it, undo the 5 mounting bolts and bolt a new corner back onto that car.
That Toyota still waiting to get going. It doesn't want to plough through. Oh, it really hasn't got any lock at all.
I think you're right, Bob. If you look at the angle of that right front tyre, to me that looks like it's got a lot of toe-in on it. Marco Bononomi back out the car. He's going to have been out there adjusting something, and he'll be being talked through that by his engineer. I'm not sure who's engineering the 3 car.
There'll be a lot of instruction going on. Here they go.
So you will often see this now with these new hybrid cars, that you're going to see mechanics being taken to the cars out on the circuit to ensure they're safe. But
it's setting off.
Yep, he's away. So that's not a problem. He's okay, and he's gonna drive that car back, assuming he has enough steering lock to get around everything that he's going to be faced with. First of the safety cars comes through past us with the 2 Audi behind it. So the 2 Audi, I believe, still on slick tyres, because the 2 Audi was long committed to the stop.
Well, there it is.
Wheels pointing in roughly the right direction, but Marco Bononomi head in hands.
Just doesn't think he can do anything.
Interesting. A lot of oil outside, so it sounds like that's, if that was just a drive shaft broken, he could drive that car back. But with the situation, that it sounds to me like the suspension may have damaged the gearbox as it's hit the wall. He's out, and you can see he is absolutely distraught, as you would be to go out at this stage running so strongly.
And it actually is talking about the left rear, so that's the bit we can't see. Left rear suspension and drive shaft.
You know, we saw Mike Rockefeller drag the car back in many more pieces than that a few years ago. The Audi guys are now with the car, and they're going to make that safe for the marshals to work on, because these hybrid systems have to be neutralised before they're completely safe.
He's distraught. Well, yes, there's the flatbed is going out to recover that car.
Was the Ferrari an innocent party in all of that, Bob?
I think it was. I think it was just coming through, and it got, you know, the Audi was just in the way.
So which car is that Ferrari? Is that the Sam Bird car?
Yeah, the 81. Yeah.
So the Toyota not struggling too much to get that car back. Still heavy rain out there. It has stopped here at Pit Inn, where we're situated. We have no more rain. So the guys staying out on slicks for the moment. I don't think we've seen anybody go to an intermediate tyre. Something on that front of that Toyota that's flapping away. I think they're going to need to put a new left front corner on that car. But as I say, they are built up. They have the hub, the upright, the brake disc.
In a punch sub-assembly.
In a sub-assembly, so they need to undo the 4 bolts that hold the upper and lower wishbone to the chassis, the push rod, which the length will already be set on, and the track rod, and that whole lot will come away. They just undo one single dry brake coupling and the wiring coupling, and the whole corner will come away. Then they'll just bolt the fresh one on, do it all up and send it on its way with no need to even check the tracking. So Marco Bonomi out the race.
So there's 3 safety cars on circuit at the moment, and that sort of does tend to split up the field a little bit.
Well, we're not really seeing anybody catching the safety cars. We're seeing the safety cars out there. The one that's just coming past us now, the Audi guys just consoling each other, with only 1 car behind it, the 53 Ram racing car. The Tracy Crone car slowly catching it. Much like Formula 1, these guys have a delta on their dashboard that they're to drive to, but they will eventually catch the safety car train. Sam Bird's car, that's just, if that was completely innocent in all of what went on, wow, I've got a feel for those guys.
Well, it would seem that, yeah, Bonomi and Oliver Jarvis, Felipe Albuquerque, sadly, would seem their race is over now.
The problem you see here is when there's no cars running at speed, even if the rain has stopped, which it has here at the Ford Chicane, there's nothing there to clear the water. These cars lift a fantastic amount of water off the surface with the downforce they generate, and the turbulent air coming off the back, and they spread it away into the grass, so they clear a line. But at this speed, they're just not moving enough air to do that. So I think with lots of cars pitted for intermediates, when that really the rain really came down, but not those leading LMP1 cars. It was too early for them, about 5 minutes too early for them. And you know, this is going to be roll of the dice to see who goes which direction. But that 8 car we're looking at now, the 8 car has managed to lose.
Well, it's down.
We haven't got a number of, so it's down 1 lap at the moment.
Yeah.
So he's only lost a lap so far.
Yeah. He's very lucky because, of course, the safety car has slowed everything down so much.
I'm not sure that the guys would have been going that much quicker without the safety cars, from what we just heard there from Alex Wirtz, that he was really struggling, and he's having to coast the car through the corner on the clutch. So the car, even at idle in first gear, he can't drive. So he's just coasting through on the clutch. A lot of the cars behind him in that queue we saw come in for intermediates. So the LMP2 cars in the queue behind him, and certainly the Aston, all on the intermediate or the wet tyre. I think I'd be surprised if it's the wet. So as we see the Toyota back, good man. He's made it back. He's going to turn left and then right in pit in, and then come past us. We'll have a good look at that car and try and see what's broken. Right front corner looks untouched to me as it comes past us, but certainly that just needs a front clam and a left front corner and a rear deck, and I think you're going to see that car back out. Probably going to lose another lap, but 2 laps down at this stage. There's a long way to go. So in it comes. Toyota receive it. The car will go up in the air on the air jacks within the car. Fuel in first, always. The car can't go anywhere without it. Up in the air, and the skates go under it. The car will get rotated anti-clockwise now and pushed back into the garage. And you're going to see that front clip section will just come straight off. The crash structure doing exactly what it should. You see the tubes there, the 3-4 carbon fibre tubes. They're the crash structure, foam-filled elements that are designed to do exactly what they've done. Crush, break away, in the event of an accident, to take away that energy. So that's the nose away. Right, that was quick and easy. They're not putting the car up onto high stands. Yes, they are. That's them clipping the high stand mount on, which also stops us seeing what's really going on. And the mechanic going to it, you can see there's a bit of front floor section broken, so they're going to have to change that.
While, isn't it? But
yeah, I would be surprised if it takes them more than 2 laps at this pace.
Yeah.
These cars designed to come apart extremely quickly. We saw on Wednesday night that these guys had done a split the car. No, it was the Porsche guys had split the car in about 10 minutes at the end of the session. Oh, the Porsche car did clout the barrier. Is that a separate incident? No, there we see the Toyota coming in front of him. So the Porsche had already had a moment coming back on. Still not clear what caused this.
Yeah.
I think we need to see the onboard from Nick Lapierre to be able to answer this. Marco Bononomi there, wiping the sweat away.
Yeah.
So car 70 being told, pick up your pace, please. Come and join the safety car. But car 70, one of the cars that we've seen having a few issues throughout and maybe struggling to keep the pace with these wet conditions if it's on slick tyres.
So we don't know which Porsche that was, do we?
That was the 92, I believe.
You think it's 92 again in the wars?
Yes, I think that car's luck is, yeah, run out.
Let's see.
I don't know, talking to those guys at Porsche, you know, they're coming off a win last year, they really felt that with this new evolution of the 991 they were going to be up there, and the results they've had so far. Here we go. So mixed shower forecast for the next 10 minutes.
So more rain on its way.
As the 2 Audi comes past us. And I think there's probably some people shouting at people to catch the safety car clock, which you'd expect, the 36 coming in.
So if let's have a look at some of the classes. In LMP2, just coming into the pits, number 36, as you say, that's Nelson Panciatici, who had been in the class lead. There's the Sam Bird Ferrari being removed. It doesn't actually look too bad, but
I think the front's pretty heavily stuffed. I think Sam got turned round by the Audi, hitting its left rear corner, and I think Sam nosed it into the barrier on the left by the looks of it. It is speculation without seeing a replay from Nick Lapierre's car. I don't think we've got all the information yet, but it does look to have been triggered by the 92 car hitting the barrier on the inside of the Mulsanne.
So Panciatici was in the lead in the 36 Alpine. That car being run by Signatech, formerly Signature, in fact. So that will give the lead to the Orica number 34, being driven by Frank Mayer. That's a race performance team. And then in third place in class was number 47, and that was the Orica of KCMG, which, interestingly enough, we thought it had come in for an unscheduled stop, yet there it is in third in class.
Well, that car actually we saw hit the wall.
Yeah. Third in class.
Yeah.
Fourth in class, the Morgan, number 26. And that is of G-Drive Racing, and that's the heavily fancied car for that class win. And then 46, the Ligier, and that was the car of, looking through the entry, number 46, again, the third Ligier, which has come through pretty well, actually. I think it was quite some way back.
Just looking on the screen, Bob, at the amount of water that came out of the sky. Wow, the way that those cars are generating clouds and plumes of water. Very nice slow-mo shots there from our producer. But yeah, so much water, and yet we're seeing that as the cars, that just as you were running through the results there, come through the right-hander at Tête Rouge, the circuit's dry again.
Yeah. Well, 46 was, of course, the class leading, was on pole in the class. Now, if we go to GTE-Pro, it's led at the moment by Oliver Gavin in the Chevrolet, number 74, and that's one of the Works Chevrolets. And then second in Pro is number 92, and that is the Porsche, which was some way down at the start, but has certainly come back up. Number 92, one of the two Works Porsches of Porsche Team Manti, currently driven by Fred Makovici.
He's got away with hitting that wall quite hard.
Yeah. And then Patrick Pilet, teammate in third place. So, and then in fourth place, or rather we'll go straight to Am now, And it looks like Patrick Long in the Dempsey car in number 77 is leading the class from Johnny Molem in number 53. And 53 is the Ram Racing Ferrari. And then third, the 57 Ferrari straight Tracy Chrome car. So there's all sorts of actually not particularly fancy cars doing very,
right
very
up
well.
there, absolutely. Yeah. Which is what happens when you have a flurry like this. So car 58 being told to turn its lights on, which is Sahel Ari in the 458. And you can see Toyota now going to work changing all those vortex generators and guiding vanes underneath the car. They need to put all those aero bits back on, otherwise the balance will not be there, and then they'll start chewing through tyres. It would make it extremely difficult for them to get back on the pace. Sun now bright, sunshine beating down, so those on intermediates probably ain't going to be on them for much longer. See the FIA safety guys there watching what the Toyota team are doing, making sure that that car is safe before that car gets released from its pit garage. They'll have a new front end built up ready to go on it. That won't be a problem. And the number 1 car, we'll hear from
worth pointing that out, that the Porsche in number 20 is actually in third place, and Tom Christensen's Audi in number 1 is in 4th place, so that's what that was all about.
And that's as a result of the Porsche being able to go that little bit further on fuel and stopping that little bit later. So actually those short burst stints to stagger the cars, tripping the guys over here, because without those and going that little bit further, they would be in the same position that 20 Porsche is in. It had the beauty of choosing tyres. I do think that's not really a huge advantage, because it's not going to rain again, looking at the weather as it stands. There's some dark clouds over to the south of the circuit, but
looking out of the back door.
okay, so you're hearing Lena Gade there saying that we're going to have more rain
in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes.
Can't get much more precise than that with rain. In terms of forecast,
they've got helicopters up there, because we can see the helicopters out and about. I would suggest that some of those helicopters belong to the teams, and they're out doing quick recce's of where the rain is. I
remember when David Richards was in charge of BAR, and he sent his helicopter up to get a little bit of weather forecasting.
It's a very, sensible way of doing it. I still want to see on board from Nick Lapierre. Until we see that, I'm not going to be convinced how this got triggered. I suspect the 92 car slapped the wall on the inside, moved back on. There we go. That's on board the... So, yeah, Marco Bononomi was an innocent bystander in that. He got assaulted from both sides. And Nick Lapierre... No, I still can't make out exactly what happened there, I'm afraid. We need to see that onboard from Nick Lapierre to be sure of what happened, because Marco Bononomi definitely being hit from both sides, and, absolutely innocent in that. He got taken out big time.
Lapierre just came screaming past, didn't he?
He did. And I suspect just not seeing the Porsche that was having an accident on the right-hand side of its own, and then joining somebody else's accident. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. I really do want to see that onboard, but I don't think we're going to get it. So you see there a fairly broken bit of front floor on the Toyota number 8. That car still 6th overall, so that goes to show how much quicker over 2 hours. Now that we're just 2 hours into the race, these cars are. They've pulled that much time out on the LMP2 leaders. LMP2 leader now up into 7th place, and that is Frankie Meyer in the 34 car. 34 Orica, and ahead, interestingly, of the Orica Rebellion R1s of the Sieber team run by Bart Hayden.
Yeah, there seems to have been a bit of a problem with one of those two cars, hasn't there? It's dropped Cranehammer, the 13 car, but they're both out there at the moment, the two rebellions, so it can't be too bad.
Absolutely, those cars still going around, and this is what Bart Hayden and his team have been waiting for, shall we say. They know that they're here, their shot at a podium is to pick up the pieces. And, you know, the Toyota's that much faster than them that if they get this car out in the next 20 minutes, it would pull all that time back. No question of that. You know, if that's two of them down, then Bart and the boys at Seba will be pushing on. Seba being the Bart Hayden's business that runs the Rebellion Racing team for their Swiss owner.
Well, umbrellas in one part of the circuit, people in shorts enjoying the sun in another part. That's what you get here.
I'm glad that we're sitting in here because that was some rain shower.
It was a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I really want to see this replay. I really want to see this replay.
Message to 92 coming up in the pits, or leaving the pits.
So the 91 car, the Patrick Pilet-driven Porsche, now second overall in GTE-Pro, GTE overall, being held at the end of the pit lane now. I think this is the 91 we're on.
I think it was the 92, actually.
92. Yes, because we don't not seeing that car displayed in pit. You're absolutely right, Bob.
I think so there it is, yeah. Waiting at the pit lane exit.
He's going to get held for the Crocodile to come past and then released behind one of the three safety cars. So we see a message on the screen for car 70 to pick up the pace again. Something we've seen before. So that bit of floor now, is that going back on or is that coming back off?
Well, still other cars on circuit. Let's just have a look and see if there's any message regarding potential restart. Here are some highlights from earlier on in the day. And all we've had on the 4:29 green flag, but that was quite some time ago, about 29 minutes ago. In fact, we're just coming up to 2 laps of 2 hours of racing. So
yeah,
under the safety car.
Under the safety car, as you say, we've seen one yellow zone, these slow zones. Yeah, the Porsche there with the puncture. That was an interesting one, having seen in the Carrera Cup race several people suffering punctures, including the leader on the last lap, all left rears, and young Ben Barker coming through to win that race, I believe. I'd be surprised if we don't see him in a Porsche factory program fairly soon. And the 47, yes, the 47 had a fantastic job to recover from that, because that car now leading the second in the class.
Second in class, yeah.
So they just changed the front and sent it. The door down there on the 3 Audi garage, that's traditional. They pull the door down, and when a car is retired. The Toyota, they're really struggling to change that floor section, which you can see along the leading edge is broken, and I don't think tank tape's going to fix that. The media scrum outside, 15 minutes, 16 minutes now in the pit lane for the Toyota. As our little Nismo camera looks down over the pit lane. So obviously the Sandberg car, we expect to see that garage door down as well. That car won't be coming back as it was recovered on a wrecker. So that's them doing a systems check on the gearbox on the Toyota. We can hear it's running, it's cycling through. I can't see if there's a driver in there or not. I think that's a mechanic in the car. Yeah, that's a mechanic in the car, and they're doing some system checks there to make sure that everything's okay.
Number 8 car is still in 10th place, so it's not exactly a long way down, but 10th place doesn't necessarily mean it's well placed, having said that.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. I think certainly out of the contention for the race win, but those cars quick enough to come back through and don't ride it off the podium, just depending on the luck of the others. I think the 20 Porsche is the one that, if this extra rain is coming, is the one that's in the box seat right now. It's behind, I believe, the second safety car. As we see the course car there parked on the left-hand side, and the sweeper out on track, just trying to clean up all the shards of carbon fibre. I was expecting that we were going to be pushing for the distance record here this year, but this is looking distinctly unlikely now. That's just on the inside of Tertre Rouge, I believe. And you can see the dry line there on the pit straight in front of us.
Well, the restart tactics is going to be really important, isn't it? Being on the right
tyre and
knowing when they're going to restart.
They're not a million miles away from a restart now. That sweeper's done its bit. They've cleaned up the oil, which was offline anyway, because of where that car had ended up. So we'll reserve judgment yet, but I think a slicks is probably the right tyre to be on, and we heard Lena Gade earlier saying rain again in 2 minutes. Yeah. We've not seen that. So the Audi weather forecast, that would have been a slightly delayed message, but certainly not from when we originally saw the rain. So I'm a bit at a loss on that one.
We're looking at Frank Meyer there in the Oreca number 34. In 6th place at the moment. He started in 18th place, and we saw what it was like in those early stages for LMP2. It's pretty remarkable.
Absolutely, what a job young Frank is doing in that car.
And the team, actually, you've got to say
the team,
tactics,
definitely. I'd like to know what tyre he's on. 34 was one of the cars that did come in when the rain really started coming down. We saw him come through in front of us in that Momo-backed car. And that's the Arbor competition, guys, and if anybody knows the weather around here, it's Jacques Lecomte.
Well, race performance,
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, they're punching well above their weight from previous years. Fantastic to see them up there. So Frank, massively underrated, I think, in terms of endurance racing talent. He's been here, I think, 4 times now, and initially he was a bit inconsistent, but he's learnt. And he's come on strong, so another one that I suspect will be knocking on Darren Cox at Nissan's door saying, give me a drive, when that Nissan LMP1 programme joins the other 3 manufacturers here next year.
And he's just had his 29th birthday, lives up the road in Saint-Malo. And great affection there from Fernando Alonso with Marc Genet, and of course Marc Genet works for Ferrari, and of course they're both Spanish and so on and so forth, so they know one another very well. Just to go back to that race performance, which is from Switzerland, incidentally, they've got Michel Frey, who has got a few, he's had a few years, but John Lancaster as well in that car, so yeah, it's an interesting trio.
Yeah, John Lancaster's been done a lot of single-seater experience, very quick. So yeah, no, that is a nice little package.
Well, Mayo's been here 5 times. Lancaster.
Interesting, so some more rain expected, so more at 5:30, so local time, that's 25 minutes from now, and there is some rain there on the Mulsanne, not affecting the Tertre Rouge area, so that's going to keep things shaken up. Sorry, Bob, we interrupted you there.
No, John Lancaster, a rookie, and Michel Frey, 3 participations, as they say, 3 participations, 3 times been here. Still a lot of work going on that Toyota. It's slipping back. It's now in, where are we, 23rd position, not surprisingly. Things having been stationary now for how long? 21 minutes. Nice having that clock there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Good idea, that.
And the Toyota guys praying this yellow flag stays out for as long as it can, this safety car, because they're losing the minimum amount of time possible now, as we see the class, the second in class, Richard Bradley driven KCMG Orica Nissan that certainly was part of the cause of this, not the accident that befell the LMP1 cars, but he had his own accident further down the straight. Now filling it up, the front deck has already been changed. Skates and into the garage. Okay, so the front deck definitely been changed, hasn't it? No, there is a whole... Ooh.
Maybe they're doing the same thing, just taking advantage of this safety car, this long safety car, taking an advantage.
Those guys back here for the second year in a row from KCMG, having switched from the Morgan over to that Orica chassis, and I'm very happy with what they've got. They've been second to the. There we go. There's the bolts I was talking about, just going down through the suspension mounts that are bonded to the tub. Yeah, the KCMG team very happy with the switch they've made, and the Orica certainly for the WEC races seeming extremely competitive. But that 26G drive car, Roman Rizanov, Olivier Pla, being the drivers that are the regulars in there.
That's the one to beat, isn't it?
That's the one to beat, and they've won the first two rounds. So those guys joined by Julien Canal, who's winner here in class and knows how to drive a car around safely and bring it home. So a very interesting set of drivers that I think will be there. But yeah, KCMG racing those guys really for the championship, I think.
Well, yeah, good. The G-Drive Racing. Run by Oak, I think.
Absolutely.
Whereas
run by Oak.
G-Drive itself is Russian, with Roman Rusinov, Moscow-born, 32 years old, and he's been here 4 times, so he knows all about it. Olivier Plat 6 times, and Julien Canal 4 times. Julien Canal normally in a Chevrolet Corvette. He's usually been with Labour Competition.
Absolutely.
And doing the World Endurance Championship with them as well. Olivier Plat. He's been around for a long time, second in the World Endurance Championship last year in LMP2, so a lot of experience there. And Roman Rusinov, also a lot of experience. Some of these Russian drivers here haven't got a lot of experience, at least of this circuit.
Absolutely.
Whereas he has.
Yeah, the Lardigan brothers, no experience here, I believe, and here with the SMP racing outfit. But SMP, while we're talking about the Russian input to the race, announcing they're going to build their own LMP2 car. So those guys, you know, they know how to do it. They've got a lot of ex-Peugeot people there. So that should be a fantastic tool or weapon. So we'll see. It's interesting how they split that. The SMP guys themselves, their crew, running the 458s, while AF Corsa, who of course run this fleet of Ferrari 458s for other teams, run their LMP program. And obviously we've seen the Nick Manasseh car out with engine failure already. So the 74 Corvette C7R just making its way through Porsche curves, behind the safety car. People need to start thinking about what they want to do. There's lights still on the safety car. When the safety car is going to come in, you'll see the lights, certainly by this point of the lap, going out. And I think they might just have done.
Well, I think it will come up on the page, first of all. We haven't got anything on there at all. Let's have a look.
So the 3 safety cars, the way that this works, they all come onto the circuit in different positions. One on the Mulsanne straight, one just after Arnage, and one here at the start-finish straight. And they'll be released in the same way, and you know, that's very much a coordinated exercise to make sure as the corner comes away, as I say, everything complete, that will go away. They won't put any of those components back on the car. Yeah, there we go. A very big, strong man holding that while somebody else drops the bolts through. I'm surprised by how long this has taken them, actually. I thought this would have been done a lot quicker than it is. this will be something they'll practice.
Oliver Gavin coming in the leading GTE-Pro Chevrolet Corvette, number 74. And that's leading from Patrick Pilet, or it was, so I guess Pilet now goes ahead, probably, if he stays out, which he does.
Yeah.
That's 1991 Porsche.
Same thing we saw last year. The Porsches just on strategy, just keep chipping away.
Yeah.
And, the 92 looking not to have suffered any damage, and it's a little slap in the wall.
Yeah, I'm not certain about that, though. Let's have a look. I think we'll see. It's quite some, possibly a little way further down, 92 car. There it is.
Marco Holzer in the car, still on the lead lap in the class.
Yeah, so that'll help. Well, extraordinary to see Nicholas Johnson in the Krone Racing Ferrari. That's the green one that we see, which is third in class at the moment. Patrick Long leading the GTE-Am from Johnny Molam in second place in GTE-Am. But Patrick Long, you know, he shouldn't be in GTE-Am, he should be in GTE-Pro. But that's the way it is. OK,
so we're hearing from the guys at dailysportscar.com that the initial TV pictures that they've seen that we haven't seen suggest that Sam Bird ran into the back of those two prototypes. Sam's quote yesterday to me, I'm feeling fast, perhaps a little too fast. Safety car coming in this lap. So this is
Here we go.
the race resumes. We haven't seen the KCMG Orica come back out of the garage yet, although not a huge amount of damage there. But this is when the Toyota's really going to start losing time at a pace. And let's see who ducks into the pits now for alternative tyres. There are definitely still some guys out there, I think, on slicks. We will see. So just trying to see.
The thing is, sorry to be obtuse about this, but it says safety car in this lap. Well, which safety car?
Right, so all three safety cars will come into their own area, so they'll all be released. So we see it now on the screen, the safety car there, pulling off at Arnage, and now away they go. So it's a massive effort to coordinate as we see cars starting to file into the pits to change tyres. I suggest those are the guys that were on the slicks if we're expecting rain again in about 20 minutes. And there's no standing water on track, so yeah, each car comes into its own area, one into the pit lane, one pulls off at Arnage and one pulls off on the Motorsport.
And hopefully they will be doing the same speed so that they all pull in at the same time.
They use the GPS system very cleverly to make sure that happens, and that's something they rehearse on test day. It's fantastic to see them do that, because it means they do get it right. They need practice as much as the rest. So absolutely dry now, coming down into the forward chicane. The number 7 Toyota turning in. No tentative feeling there at all. Definitely going for it. We know that that car is on a wet or intermediate tyre. Just trying to see who's on which tyre.
Well, this is the difficult thing, isn't it? To keep track of 54 cars, which ones they're on.
So, intrigued to know what's happened to the Zytek of the Jota guys, which another one that slipped right down the order. I don't know what's happened. I'm looking through the information we have, and there's no mention as we see the 52 Ram Racing Pro car in the gravel. So he's been caught out just in front of us, I believe that is, on the way onto the straight, or is that at the karting section?
Looks like yeah. Or is it past us?
I think that's just past us, but we can't see it, so I don't know how he's managed that.
52 that was, so
the Ram Racing car.
Yeah, it was quite some way down in class. In fact, well, I think it was down in class. 52. Yellow flags here, so it must be just around the corner from us. We just can't quite see it.
Jota car is interesting, and normally the Jota guy is pretty good with their social media. But I'm not seeing anything about why that car slipped so far down the LMP2 order, having obviously led early on. But they took advantage of that safety car to do something. Yeah, absolutely crazy. As we see a race between the HPD and Nissan engines in identical Ligier coupes.
It must be just round the corner, that 42 car.
Just intrigued to see how he's managed it, because that's quite a long way out the corner entry. Exit, sorry, so we'll see.
.42, there it is, Matt. Oh, 52 we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the 52 Ram racing car.
Matt Griffin. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Matt at the wheel. That's very unlike Matt to have a moment like that. Matt's a very, very well respected and talented Ferrari specialist, often driving with the AF Corsa team.
Now, when he gets hooked out of the gravel,
he can carry on.
He can.
Yes.
Okay.
He'll bring that car back. That won't be a problem.
And there's local. Well, there were local yellows, yes. There still is a stationary yellow, or perhaps it's about to be waved. But
so we're on board the 35. Ligier Nissan, I think Jan Mardenborough at the wheel at the moment. Really struggling for grip there. That's Alex Brundle actually has stepped into that car now. So young Alex is doing a sterling job, keeping it on the island. As we see the Morand racing car, followed by the SMP, and I think that's just the Oak Racing Run 35 car with Alex Brundle at the wheel. See Aston going off there in the background, just running wide, straight on at Arnage. There's a lot of standing water still offline as Alex tries to get past the 27 SMP Racing Orica.
Into the pits comes the number 73 Chevrolet Corvette, Antonio Garcia. So coming in, and that car is fourth in class. Was fourth in class.
Okay, so everybody's going to be scratching their heads on this one as to what they do. Those out on intermediates need to keep those tyres fresh until that rainstorm comes. If it's the same intensity as the first one, that's not inconsiderable amount of rain that's about to come out of the sky. So let's see where it affects on the circuit.
So shower in the next 10 minutes expected, according to Toyota. Well, whether that's the different shower to Audi's showers, I don't know.
No, absolutely. So ironically, Audi have just delivered us their 71. That's the Am.
A slowing Ferrari there. Now let's see what's. Well, it was briefly slowing. Let's see. Here we are with 91.
David Vigon at the wheel of the 71 car, and of course that's the car that we should have seen James Collado at the wheel of. James currently in hospital in Lemoore Town Centre, and we wish James well.
Yes, he's. They've, according to one of his management, he had a small, happily, I'm glad to say, a small tumour. And they say it's a small tumour, which is why they're keeping him in there, hoping it'll. A small
hemorrhage.
Yeah, small blood clot, hoping it'll just disappear on its own. It was his birthday yesterday as well, so that wasn't much fun, was it?
No, absolutely. But he, on his social media stuff, got his chin up, that's for sure, and looking at it very positively. But we'll see. Hopefully, see him back in that AF Corsa car next time out at Circuit of the Americas in August. So the 47 KCMG back out of the garage and pressing on well. That car still on the first page, despite its visit to the garage under yellow. So the guy is obviously taking that as an opportunity to do the precautionary checks, as we see the 41 Zytek of the Greaves Motorsport squad. Okay.
That's number one. That's Tom Christensen being told level 3 rain, very heavy rain in the next few minutes. And we've got Wurtz. Basically, let's give you a sort of summary of the order at the moment. Wurtz in the lead from Lotterer in Wurtz in the Toyota, Lotterer in the Audi in second place, about 90 seconds further back. And then another 15 seconds behind him is Timo Bernhard in the Porsche. And then Tom Christensen will be next. Now, whether he's a lap down, I'm not certain, but he's in 4th place. Nicolas Prost in 5th. Frank Meyer in the LMP2 car. Orica in 6th. And Dominic Krahammer in the 2nd of the Rebellion cars in 7th. Then it's Chatin in the Alpine number 36 in 8th place. Shandhok in the Orica number 48 in 9th. And Brundle in the Ligier in 10th.
One of the interesting things about the safety cars, having 3 there, is you can gain or lose quite a lot. And the big winner from that safety car was Alex Wurtz. He had a 35-second gap as we came into that, and his gap is now up to over 1 minute and 30. So there was the Lotterer and Bernard cars ended up in a train behind him. Yeah, he's pulled a decent-sized gap. Luck of the draw there as to where the safety cars came out. And Tom Christensen up to 4th, pushing on in that number 1 car, which of course we talked about earlier, fairly heavily destroyed by Loic Duval earlier in the week. He's pressing on hard, and he and Marc Genet will do a sterling job of driving through in that car.
Christensen, I think, is a lap down, but we're just sort of with bated breath, waiting for this next rain shower, having seen what happened with the last one, really.
Absolutely, I think you're right. I think he is a lap down. They lost a lap there, but equally, I think that the Bernard Porsche, they're pushing on hard. They're not that far behind the Andre Lotterer Audi.
Riding on board with this Toyota, and that was 52. We saw that a moment ago.
We did, trying to get his car out. Now
it's being recovered, so that's good news.
Driver looked to be out of that car, which means nope, they are going to let him go.
Well, that should send him on his way, but by the looks of things.
Yeah, if he hasn't been out of the car, there's no reason that they shouldn't send him on his way. A lot of gravel coming out of that car, but he's going to have to do a full lap to get back to the pits, spreading that gravel everywhere, which is unfortunate for everybody else, because that gravel can be quite sharp and cause punctures.
No, tyre change there for the Sofrev car.
Which is surprising, considering unless they were out there on slicks trying to get around.
Yeah, they obviously haven't been listening to the weather forecast.
Absolutely. Just trying to see what the gaps are.
It is black behind us, over towards Arnage.
Absolutely. So the rain coming in from a slightly different direction this time. When it does come. And probably making more of the circuit wet by the sounds of it than it currently is. Patrick Pilet in the 91 Porsche still leads the GTE class. So actually in that class you've got a GTE-Pro and then a GTE-Am Porsche 991 out front. Fantastic to see. And Pilet in the pits at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see what tyres Pilet's getting. Rain is now reported at Marshalls Post 25. Marshalls Post 25 being just after Tertre Rouge, just on the kink where the accident actually happened, that we saw just a moment ago.
Yeah, there it is, spray being checked up.
This is the Indianapolis section of the circuit.
Well, that's further round, much further round at the southern end of the circuit then.
So they come into Arnage, where they will turn right, and they then have the long run as the New Blood by Moran car misses the apex, skates straight on, no harm done, bounces over the outside curve. He's now going to charge. This is all battles for position, these LMP2 cars that you see here. They're all running together. And they've got the Rebellion coming up behind them, the 13 car. The new Ligier Coupe, very pretty car, I think.
Yeah, very nice, those new Ligiers being built by designed by Onroque here at Le Mans and built by them as well. It's basically Oak Racing once again using or licensing a name. Before it was Morgan, which was a great tie-up, and now it's this time it's with Ligier, and Guy Ligier is actually involved in spite of the fact he's in his 80s.
We have a safety car. Heavy rain reported, marsh post 13 to 42. So the race officials choosing to take the safe route on this one and send the safety cars out before the drivers are expected to plod through. And there, that's not light, is it?
No, it is not. Heavy rain. It's
I'm amazed that they've thrown that safety car now. I guess the race officials deciding it's much better to do that than it is to be in a position where we've got cars flying off the circuit again.
We've got sunshine here.
We have gorgeous sunshine. You're seeing gorgeous sunshine on the monitors as the cars come through the Porsche curves. Wow. Wow, that's some serious rain. A lot of water coming out of the sky. And now it's starting to rain here, Bob.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty sensible of the race officials to put out the safety car again before the rain.
And the 62 car spinning even with the safety car out there. So those guys, that's at the beginning of the Mulsanne, just about where that first accident happened, I think. That he's had that spin, so it might be interesting that there's some funny crests in the road on the Mulsanne Straight. That's of course a main road during the week, and trucks running up and down there making large tramways in effect in the circuit. It has been resurfaced more recently, but it's a situation where the cars get sucked into the tramways, and to try and actually overtake other cars on that straight, they have to come up out the tramway and into another one. It's quite difficult, and it can really make the car very unbalanced, unstable as they change direction. So the rain pretty heavy here now as well. That 8 Toyota still in the pits. We now have more cars stopped in the middle of the track, 41, 48 and 62. Oh no, 2 of our LMP2 contenders in the wall. It's happened again. The Murphy car with Karun at the wheel, Karun crashing on Wednesday night as well, and the Greaves car, not the Caterham Greaves car, this is the other Greaves car with, I don't know who's at the wheel at the moment, but this is Mooneman, who's also crashed earlier in the week. Yeah. Both of those guys having had incidents earlier in the week and now come together. That looks like the Mulsanne again. So Karun looks like he's going to fire that car up, reverse it out and go back, but the first car moving is Mooneman. Mooneman, no, you need to go back further than that, Mr. Mooneman.
And Chandhok's doing the same, so yeah, there's quite a lot of
I don't think
debris.
Karun is strapped in.
Does he have
Karun
to be?
needs, yes.
He has to.
Karun is about to get himself in trouble.
No, that's not a good idea.
No, that's not a good idea. And then right front wheel on that Zytek, heavily deranged, right up in the air with the floor dragging under it. Now that floor is going to hopefully come away, and then the car might balance itself up a bit better. But oh, the rain we have here is absolutely torrential. It's bouncing back a good few inches off the tarmac in front of us. So the Mooneman car.
Well, they didn't seem to be running close together. I mean, Chandhok was actually running 3rd in class.
I suspect Mooneman was a lap down.
Yeah, he was. He was a lap down, but so we don't actually know who was ahead of whom, which is a bit unfortunate.
Both of those guys just, well, you know, the luck is not with them. Mooneman having an off at the Porsche curves. Both of them actually having similar offs at the Porsche curves during the week. Michael Mooneman he's the man behind Algarve Pro Racing, and you know, very wealthy individual who's very much enjoying his racing, and he's bought several cars that he enjoys driving around this new circuit down in the Algarve, Portimao. And Karim Chandok, of course, a Formula 1 driver.
Yeah, former Formula 1 anyway, yes. So it's still Wurz, Lotterer, Bernhardt, Christensen and Prost. Those are the first 5. Then Meyer, Chatin, Paul-Loup Chatin in the Alpine, which is another new car as well. And then Chantok, Brundle, Klein, and then Krahammer in the second Rebellion in 11th place. Baddy in the Ligier, Fong. Audi weather forecast there, should stop in 10 minutes.
Lena Gade there explaining the situation, and it's interesting how they have these different points system as to how heavy the rain is going to be. And initially she was saying 0.5, and then at that jump when we heard Kyle Wilson-Clark engineering the one car, the one car to being 3. I don't know what it's out of, but I'd suggest 3's quite near the top, because that was an awful lot of rain that we saw. Not seeing any news on the 8 car, which we've just been sitting. Oh, it's down at the end of the pit lane now. So how much time have those guys spent in the pits? It's got to be 40-odd minutes. You can hear the rain on the roof of the car.
And they're just waiting for the... there's number 41 car coming back. Well, he's obviously using that as a sort of
wet
skate.
Water ski.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's doing a fantastic job of clearing some water for us, but equally he's probably putting a lot of carbon fibre down that can cause somebody else a bit of a headache.
Especially when he rubs it against the curbs.
Yes, not the best. But another gentleman here to really enjoy his race, and unfortunately he's been caught out in some way. We don't know who or what happened there, who caused it, but the 60 car coming in. That's another car that we've seen in trouble earlier in the week. So the KCMG guys don't understand this. They're parked at the end of the pit lane as well. So they've been back in. Now, that must be for tyres. They must have decided that they were on the wrong tyres and had to come back in to swap. But I think as quick as we all switch to wets and inters, it's going to dry up again once these showers are past.
Yeah. So once again, the restart strategy is going to be so important, not to lose time.
So who's won from this?
Making an extra pit stop.
Alex Wurz. No, because of the way the gaps were, nobody's really won from it.
Well, he's got a bit more. He's got perhaps, well, at the moment it says 4 minutes and 20 seconds
I think that's because it's under safety car, running at the slower pace.
Is that him? Was that 7?
That is the 7 car.
He's on his own. He hasn't got a safety car at all.
Absolutely, and I think he will, when he catches the safety car croc, he'll be behind the same safety car that the number 8 Toyota is running with. But yeah, it's always interesting to see how that pans out. I think the next safety car will have the guys Lotterer and Bernard in, and if that is the case, then it's all things neutral in terms of how the safety cars have caught the guys and who's gained or lost from that. I don't think there's anything, but clearly Alex Wurz gaining from that first safety car. Okay, so a very sensible decision there for Eduardo Freitas and his team. Leave the safety car out until we've got to see something that's a bit drier.
So this is Alexander Wurz, free of having to follow anybody. He's on his own out there. I don't know how he managed that.
And interestingly, here we drive into a delta time on the dash.
Yeah.
And to catch the pack, but just didn't look to be going quick enough to be catching the pack, to be honest.
He's probably just taking it very, very easily and
well, everything to lose and nothing to gain, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some big puddles there on the apex. That's the apex of the second chicane, and the specially shaped brushes that are used by the men in orange to try and clear the water. The safety car is crawling as well.
It is very slow, isn't it? It really is. No, that's earlier on. That's...
I disagree with the comment about Sam Bird hitting the 2 LMP cars. I don't think that's the case at all from that replay, but we really need to see it on board from Nick Lapierre. Marsh with a nice souvenir. I'm taking this home. Will you sign it, please?
And here is the replay of the car rejoining. And underneath there is the Audi hidden away. The Audi that wasn't able to restart. Olive Jarvis there. Deeply regretting the fact that he's been unable to...
Sam Bird in the other car.
Yeah, there's Sam in the Ferrari coming back as well.
Those cars on the public road down at Arnage.
Yeah, how do we have a cameraman down there?
I think there's always a cameraman on the roundabout at Arnage, but good on him. He took it off the tripod and had a walk and went and snapped what went on. But yeah, those guys being taken back the long way and very damp and pretty fed up. So in this next queue that's just gone past us, we do have Andre Lotterer and Bernhardt 12.8 seconds apart. So once that suggests that they're in the same queue, as you say. Coming into the pits is the 5th placed Rebellion of Nicolas Prost, and rather badly managed is the 10th place, number 13, its teammate of Dominic Krahammer. Unfortunately, I think this has actually played into the hands of Alexander Wurz again. I think he's won again with this because actually he's now only a third of a lap behind Andre Lotterer and Timo Bernard, which is he's won again. The luck seems to be with that 7 car. And the 8 car back out and driving around now, but off the first page of the timing screens, we'll see how that one comes back up. And Bart Hayden and his crew will be chuffed to pieces with the 12 car up in 5th overall at this stage in the race.
Except they've just had both come into the pits at the same time.
Yes, yeah.
Which is never ideal.
No, but they do have 2 full crews down there, and they're not exactly rushed to get those cars turned round. Okay, so Lena Gade saying that they're going to take this opportunity to change driver. Full service means tyres and fuel.
Change driver means Benoit Trellier,
who's a very handy peddler, very safe pair of hands, but clearly making the decision that the quadruple stints that they were planning are not the right way to go, and get the job done, get it done under safety car where you lose a lot less time. But that actually means that Alex Wurz is probably going to get a lap.
Yeah, if he hasn't already. Yeah. Now tell me, because this is a strange thing to do, I would have thought, is to send Benoit Trellier out on a track that's wet. Admittedly, he gets a chance just to sort of cruise around behind a safety car, but all of a sudden he's going to be racing. He is not used to these conditions, whereas anybody who's in the car at the moment is.
Absolutely. I think as a team manager, I'd be saying exactly that, but I guess these guys are very highly paid professionals, and ultimately, yeah, they should be capable of doing it. So the 2 car comes in.
And there it is, number 2 car, the Audi of Andre Lotterer coming into the pits.
So we've been told the 66 car needs to get a move on the screen. I think that's the car, that's the JMW Ferrari. I believe Seth Neiman at the wheel at the moment. And he's holding up that number 1 Audi. I think the number 1 Audi pulling alongside him, trying to give him a little bit of a hurry up.
I think you might be right. That's the one, yeah. So number 2 into the pits, a full service. It's going to take a little bit longer than your average shorter rather than your average full service.
So Grun Chandok making the car, bringing the car back.
Oh, there we go.
Right front wheel, broken track rod, and the Zytek with Michael Muneman at the wheel. That car back. Both of those cars will get turned around and back out. It's not the last we'll see of them, that's for sure. They'll have complete corners built up, just like the factory team is ready to put on. But Roy Hingston and the team at Murphy Prototypes are having a rough time of it.
So Benoit Trellier there, all strapped into the car. born in Alençon, which is the next town north of Le Mans. And if you're going back towards the ferry at Le Havre, that's the way it goes. That's the next one, the next town you go through. So he's very much a local boy, but a very good peddler. Every now and then he pulls out a really good performance. And there it is, number 2. It's not quite ready to go yet. A little bit of tension to the right rear.
Interestingly, they are going to end up going a lap down here, I think, because they're going to get held at the end of the pit lane, and they're going to end up in the same queue.
What sort of call have they made?
We'll
Have they made it? Will they be allowed to go?
No, they're going to be held. So the Crocodile's now going to come past, and I think that means that that car is now going to be... There's the 2 Toyotas in the same queue, and that, I believe, is coming out of Arnage.
Yeah.
So this is... If they get held... I would be surprised if they held them for that length of time at the end of the straight. I would tend to think that they're going to get released onto the back of the queue that you can see now, and actually that means that Andre Lotre won't have lost much at all, if anything, doing that stop.
No, who's that? That's the Greaves Motorsport car, so that's back. That's the Chantok car with Natalio Berton.
So
and Rodolfo Gonzalez.
Very experienced team, Greaves. These guys know how do these Zytecs go together. They've had them for a very long time, and they have an awful lot of spare parts for them. Jacob Greaves, Tim Greaves, of course, was the owner of Radical Sports Cars. And this team ran a Radical LMP car here for LMP2 car here for a little while before making the switch when Tim sold Radical over to the Zytecs. These guys are supplier to many of the teams up and down the pit lane. Actually, you see Greaves 3D Engineering on the front of that car, and Jacob runs that business, supplying the likes of Audi and Porsche with all the equipment that you see used during the pit stop. They came up with a very innovative boom system, which is used to change the wheels extremely quickly and efficiently, and that's their bread and butter day-to-day work. As you see Michael Munneman climbing out the car.
So they basically run or make and devise pit equipment as well.
Absolutely, the Jack you see there, they will have done, and those, yeah, very, very clever group that they have there. The Porsche LMP1 guys, I think, very impressed with the equipment that those guys have produced. So, you know, if you a big compliment to the guys at Greaves that the people at that level are purchasing their equipment designed by a team that's involved. But ultimately, I think that's the best way. You've got to be involved to know what people really need, and that's why these guys are a very efficient team and will get that car turned around quite quickly. The 7 Toyota just plodding around very, very, very slowly. Still trying to see what's happened at the end of pit lane. It does look like Ben Trelier has been released now, so which queue has he ended up in?
Yeah, I think it was the second of those two. Almost certainly nothing in front of us at the moment.
Which means he is a third of a lap away from being lapped, I think.
That's the repeat of Charles Munneman coming back with his water ski. And Karen Chantok just ahead of him.
They even look like they were trying to race it back.
And marshals, I think they'll be sending out for some more brooms quite soon, because they've really used an awful lot of them.
Absolutely.
But a lot of marshals around this track, not necessarily all French. There's marshals from all over the world actually come to Le Mans to enjoy themselves.
Marshals trying to stay dry there,
yeah,
huddling under umbrellas against the concrete wall.
Well, it's blue where the black was behind us, so hopefully...
So they're looking at the damage there to the floor that's happened as that car's been dragged back with the right front corner sitting as it was, and I think potentially a lot more damage there than we suspected, and the damage probably done by the car being dragged back, you know, with that corner, as you see it now, right up in the air. So it probably needs a floor, that car.
Well, of course, that's always the problem, isn't it? They go off and don't do a lot of, I mean, even years and years ago, you know, flapping bodywork would do, or a flapping tyre would do a lot more work, damage than a flapping bodywork.
The leader in the 7 car, Alex Wirtz, now coming into the pits, doing covering off Ben Trelouet's attack there, and I think that's absolutely the right thing for those guys to do. It'll be interesting to see if they swap driver. Yeah, Alex Wirtz out, and who are we seeing going into that car? I think that's Kazuki. Let's have a look.
It says Sarrazin.
Sarrazin in.
Stéphane Sarrazin, who did one Grand Prix. He's also a French rally champion as well. He's a very talented driver, perhaps not very well known, but a very talented driver indeed, Stéphane Sarrazin.
Recently been testing the intermediate tyre there. No, that's the full wet, I think, actually going on. Stéphane Sarrazin actually testing the Toyota WRC Yaris, which is being developed at the moment, but that car not to be rallied next year. They're waiting for the new regulations, but felt they needed something to do, and I suspect it had a lot to do with Stéphane's desire to go rallying whilst on a contract at Toyota. So they're out testing that car regularly and getting themselves prepared for a return to the WRC when the regulations change in 2017. Safety car in this lap.
Did one Grand Prix, the Brazilian Grand Prix in 1999 with Minardi, French rally champion in 2004. So
a very, very handy driver, and of course he was a big part of that Porsche, sorry, not Porsche, the Peugeot.
Okay, Benoit Trelouet there. Just one little thing more about Stéphane Sarrazin. He's the outright qualifying record holder here in 3 minutes 18.5 in 2008 in the Peugeot.
In the Peugeot, yeah, absolutely. Turn the wick up days and get it done. Yeah, when they stole all the headlines, but I think that was the year they had the spectacular failures. Same failure with all 3 cars.
So the safety car coming in, you can see it's still a lot of standing water about. We don't call it puddles, it's called standing water.
Yes, absolutely. Rivers of water as well, I think, probably down there, looking at the amount of water there was. So that's the 7 car now being held at the end of pit lane. This will be interesting because they're not going to be able to catch back up to the crocodile when the safety car comes in. So I think they'll be released as soon as the safety car train that's going green passes them. So this safety car train you see here, this safety car is going to duck off into the pit lane.
This is a big one too, isn't it?
It is, which is unfortunate for them because it means, of course, they lose more time and they're straight out into traffic. So not the best. That's the same one that the 20 Porsche is in. The 20 Porsche lap down at the moment on Alex Wirtz, so they're going to be still nearly a full lap down. So Alexander Wirtz leads this race. It's not Alexander Wirtz, of course, at the wheel currently, but he has now got a full lap on the rest of the field due to these safety cars working in his favour. That's fantastic for those guys in the 7 car.
So here's this big queue of cars coming through. Safety car gets itself back in position for its next appearance, if indeed it will be required again. The queue of cars come into the pits as the green flag is waved, and Stéphane Sarrazin will rejoin in the lead.
And now that last car in that train, the 20 Porsche, has passed, that's it. So not quite a full lap's lead, but given a couple of seconds, I have every reason to think that within a couple of minutes, that's going to be a full lap's lead for the... no, sorry, that's the 20 car now in the lead.
So in that queue is the 20 car, but Sarrazin's just pitted. That's how out of kilter they all are.
And that's the first time we see a Porsche lead this race.
Yeah. But will he have to come in? I can't remember how many laps he's done, of course.
Well, of course, that car was the car that came in slightly behind and out of sequence from the others when the first rainstorm hit. So he is slightly out of sequence, and we will be expecting to see him in, but he won't lose anything like the same amount of time. So, yeah, still definitely in the hunt there. And Ben Treluet now in the train that's coming past us in the 2 car, and so he's a third of a lap behind that, and it's all shaking itself out in the end, and equalised itself quite nicely after Alex Wirtz had a big advantage, gaining a third of a lap after that first safety car.
In the lead of LMP2 is Frank Meyer in the number 34 Orica, and he has nearly a lap lead over Chatin in the Alpine number 36, who is just 8.6 seconds ahead of Christian Klien in the Morgan number 43, who in turn was in the same queue as Alex Brundle. So at the moment, Meyer has the advantage, but Chatin, Klien and Brundle all together, and Bade as well in the Ligier 46.
So we see the 8 car coming past us now, out and running well. Obviously the Toyota guys having done a fantastic job to get that car turned around with that new left front corner going on. They'll be hoping that car can now play a big part in backing up the 7 car. The 1 Audi coming past us as well, Tom Christensen at the wheel of that car. That car we'll be expecting to pit in the not too distant future. As on the screen you see the 991 with the 919 chasing behind it, the 2 Porsches, the factory cars, and the visibility very difficult there on the run down to Indianapolis, I think. Difficult to tell where that is actually on the circuit.
And it very often hangs in the trees there as well, so unless there's wind, and there doesn't seem to be a little bit of wind out there, but there is some, yeah. Just looking at the inflatable chips across the track, and there seems to be a little bit there, so that's not too bad.
So he now comes through Arnage. We've cut away from that as we see a replay here of the KCM G car. He has a spin. Does he keep it away from the wall? He's going to be a lucky boy.
He does.
Yes, he does.
In spite of the wet grass as well.
So that car, the car that's already had a new front nose on it, having not been involved in the... and we see the 67 Pro Speed. That's one of the IMSA cars, actually, isn't it? Having a trip into the gravel now. Has he managed to get himself free, or are we going to see one of these slow zones while that car's recovered? So the KCM G car in trouble again, having been one of the reasons that we had that first safety car spinning under braking for the first chicane and taking the tyres out. It's been in their car and had a new nose.
Was in 15th place overall, probably about 8th place, 9th place in class, Richard Bradley. And the 67 Porsche, I think, was quite some way down. In 29th place in the Am class with Eric Murray on board, and he was cause of damage in qualifying as well in practice.
So you have to say that Stefan Sarazar is the man that you would want in that Toyota right now, with the conditions as they are, with all that experience as a rally driver. He is used to letting that car move around underneath him, but not... did we get the gap there? I think the caption's gone away from the screen. We can see the gap now, 7 seconds, as the Rebellion is just holding the 20 car up as they come through Tete Rouge out onto the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, rally drivers here. I remember Jean-Claude Androuet in a Ferrari 5, Berlinetta Boxer, in the middle of the night in fog, in rain, in mist, and he was absolutely the right guy to have, and he was setting laps faster than people in much higher powered and more sophisticated cars.
Used to the night, of course, as well. Yeah. Very used to the night.
We'll ask Peter Dunbrack about that in a moment.
Absolutely.
He's going to be taking over. He's waiting in the wings for his commentary.
Peter will be able to explain what's going on there, which certainly I can't do, with the fact that that GTE 991 in this wet section of circuit here has managed to stay with the 20 car, the 919 LMP1 car, right through this wet section. So very interesting to see how little time that it lost to the P1 car there. And we're just trying to get a split time now to see what the gap is. Stefan Sarrazin over a second faster in that first sector, so we're going to see Stefan catching Timo Bernard in the Porsche. Very rapid rate. Car 12 we now see off, so that's Nicolas Prost in the Rebellion. Marshalls point 42. Marshalls point 42 is the first chicane. As you hear harvesting there down as he turns into the Mulsanne corner.
It's Porsche, Toyota, Audi, the only car with 2 cars really in the running, having started with 3. Porsche with 2 cars, but one of them seriously delayed. Toyota the same thing.
You can see that gap on the screen now.
5.3 seconds between Bernard and Sarrazin last time around across the start-finishing line, but that's actually come down.
So I think we are expecting that Porsche in certainly within the next 3 laps. So they are now out of sequence with the Toyota having used that safety car as an opportunity to come in and get that stop out the way. And I think absolutely the right thing to have done. There was nothing to lose there to get that done and then get that driver change done as well, because we would have expected a double stint, I think, from the Toyotas. So double stint on the tyres and the driver, but that's not happened with the weather changing as it did. And I don't think the guys at Toyota were necessarily expecting that, because we heard them earlier talking about that and going to the slicks, a second set of slicks for that 3rd stint, and then leaving Alex Wirtz in the car. But yeah, I think they've reacted remarkably well to it, considering it certainly didn't seem to be in their plan.
Yes, I think the weather's caught people. I heard an interview elsewhere that they were told it was going to be a dry 24 Heures du Mans, and somewhat surprised that it hasn't been.
Yeah, I think this is it from what we're seeing of the weather forecast. It's going to be relatively fine from this point forward, but let's see how this one all pans out.
We'll hold you to that. Now, all of a sudden, that gap's gone up quite considerably.
Yeah, in that last sector. It could be traffic, the last sector being a particularly slow one, so let's see how it does work out. The 7 car does seem to be sitting behind that Rebellion, which about a lap ago we saw the Timo Bernard Porsche pass in this section of the circuit, not taking the same risks, I don't think, here.
So Timo Bernard and Stefan Sarrazin on Timo Bernhard rather, and Stefan Sarrazin on 38 laps, then Benoit Trillier 37, and in fact Trillier is also on 38, so there's first 3 on the same, and then Tom Christensen a lap down, Nicolas Prost another lap down, Frank Meyer leading LMP2 a further lap down, but then he has his LMP2 rivals all queued up behind him, not very far away. And in fact, we've got the Alpine of Chatin, and then the Morgan of Klien and Alex Brundle all pretty close together. So there's lots going on there as we hand over to our co-commentators, Julian Porter and Peter Dumbreck.
Welcome back to the commentary booth for the 82nd running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and we are 3 hours in, 20 hours and 57 minutes left, Peter. We've been watching the whole race from the start. What a week, what a 3 hours. I mean, not only the great battles was, but then the weather and everything like that. Really difficult conditions.
Yeah, it's you know, very difficult for the drivers to get their head around that, and the obvious thing is that, you know, we're so early in the race, you don't want to make mistakes. We've seen some big mistakes already, some cars out. For the guys still in the race, they've really got to keep a calm head, make sure they make it into the night. I mean, that's the first big step, to get into the night, get through this rain. We've seen the forecast is looking quite a bit better for the rest of the race. There could be one more shower coming, but other than that, it looks like it's going to be a dry race, which is a big relief for the drivers, let me tell you, during the night, because you don't want rain around here at night. It's already difficult in the day, but never mind the night time.
Well, that's it. I mean, when we've been looking at some of the in-car, as Bob was saying, you could hardly see anything when you were catching people, and so tricky. But it's really strange as well, because we know that Christian, the #1 Audi's out on wets, and half the circuit is dry, so you're now starting to run into the damp conditions on offline to keep the tyres cooled down.
Well, I think the important thing is just to take safety into account in this early stage, and be safe with the car, and not make any mistakes, because, as I said, you're so early in the race, you've got a long way to go. There's no point in taking big risks. We've seen in the past cars get quite a long way through the race. They're pushing hard, and all of a sudden a mistake happens at hour 20 or something like that, and they're out. So a lot of action on track just now, a lot of jostling for position, but people are being calm. There's one of the Porsches going by there now. That's a lead car passing the Aston.
The Toyota not so far behind. 6.312 is the gap. That's the curb cam there. So Sarazan catching him.
We don't know quite the sequence of pit stops at the moment. We need to see how that plays out in the next few laps, see who's going to pit first, and then obviously there'll be different leaders coming in, because I think the #2 Audi should be, well, at the moment it's 1 minute 3 behind, but I always thought that was a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, that's obviously with the safety car. We saw the #2 Audi dropping half a minute because it got into another safety car line than the first car. So
well, this is quite a unique track, because there's 3 safety cars. You get a situation where on a normal track you want to pit. Under safety car you want to pit, you want to take on fuel, you want to take on tires and get into pits. But at this track you don't want to pit, because you automatically lose track position, and it sets you a long way back. So if you happen to be needing to pit at the time that the safety car comes out, then you really are stuffed, and you lose position by having to sit in the pits and waiting until the next safety car comes round.
As the Toyota just left the final chicane, it was overtaking a back marker, so there was nothing between it and, as we have a car off, is that 33? Yeah, Oak Racing. Fong off in the gravel somewhere. I'm trying to work out.
So yellow flags are out.
Yeah.
Is that car 33 or 83?
I'm not really sure, but Marshall point 95B and 96 is where it is. What I was going to just say,
33. So it's Adderley Fong who's off. He was in quite, you know, he's in quite a good, strong position. 5th, 6th in P2 class. So he's going to be dropped down the order some. And looking at the leaders, you can see the last lap of Timo Bernhard, 3:57, and the last lap of Sarazan, 3:53. So obviously the Toyota with Sarazan is a lot faster at the moment. It could be a difference in tyres, or it could be just the driver pushing on that bit harder. But obviously, yes, the Toyota will catch the Porsche if we carry on at this, you know, if the pace continues like this.
I do remember a few years ago when Stefan Sarazan ventured into the World Rally Championship with ProDrive. He was driving with ProDrive in sports cars and in World Championship, and David Richards saying what a talent he was. And in conditions like that, is that what you want, someone who can adapt a little bit more?
Well, you know, all the experience you've got you know, the more you've got, the better it is, essentially. The more cars that you drive, that you can bring to the table, the better. And if it's a bit of rallying on gravel or even on tarmac rallies, which I know Stefan was very good at, then yeah, it's something you can bring to the table. And he's an assured driver. He's been around the block. He's not in this team for no reason. You know, he's a factory Toyota driver and a very fast one at that.
So that yellow flag is at Indianapolis, just to keep you up to date on that one. So 20 hours, 51 minutes. First time Porsche have led Le Mans since 1988. So
yes, that's a farewell. 1998, yes.
1998. So a nice little moment for them, as you say.
Porsche going heavily over the curbs there. Obviously, they feel that they can take a lot of curb through the Ford chicane, even in the slightly damp conditions. So that's, I mean, that just shows the car's a well-balanced car, the 911 RSR. We see the back straight now getting quite dry. So there is still, you know, water offline. You see a bit of a tail end slide there from the Porsche coming off the corner, but it's gradually drying up. It's you know, it still remains to be 20 odd degrees here, so it is going to dry very quickly.
Sarrazin just 4/10 quicker in the first split, and then 8/10 quicker in the second split. 5.4 seconds between these two. As you say, they are slightly out of sync, but it's really the number 2 Audi which we've got to see when that comes in. Very aggressively driven, I thought, in the first couple of hours by Lotterer. Some big moves. There was a great fight before that accident between those 3 cars as well. Really.
Yeah, it's a shame we've kind of been robbed of 2 cars. One of them still in the race, but the other one out. You see the tail slide I was talking about. That looks like it's through Arnage.
As you said, that's heading towards us there, and it's the road is dry, slightly damp offline, but as he comes in, and I noticed this morning they were just bumping a little bit. They're a bit more cautious over those curbs.
We'll get a chance to see the lap times now. 3:49 for the leader, 3:52. So Sarrazin's actually lost a little bit of time in that last lap.
3.5 seconds in the last sector. Maybe traffic. There's nothing between them again now as they head out onto another lap.
That's the thing, it's such a long lap, and if you happen to catch traffic in the wrong position, and even you've got 2 GT cars potentially fighting it out and you can't get round them, it can cost you seconds, and it's seconds that these guys don't have, you know, and that's what makes it such a tough race. So okay. 33, this is Adderley Fong getting back on the road, so he's dropped down quite a few positions now in P2.
He's down to 15th overall. Some cars coming into the pits. 46 going past us. There's the number 2 Audi. That's a long way back, isn't it? He's just going out of the chicane and crossing the line now. So safety car not doing him a lot of use.
Similar pace to the leading car, so it just shows you if he was that bit closer, he could contend. But he's been dropped back, and through all the pit stops, through the rain, he's kind of lost out slightly.
As everyone keeps saying in and around the circuit, still a long way to go. But I was surprised at how quickly Alex Wurz and how big a lead he pulled out in those first 3 hours. Because when they first started, the 2 Toyotas were quite close, and all of a sudden Wurz was away.
Yes.
Really strong performance by him.
Yep, certainly. You know, he's obviously got his head down and he's pushing away, and yeah, it just shows you the pace of the Toyota. We don't know the difference in the 2 Toyotas, whether one was on a different tyre than the other one, or the setup was slightly different, but certainly Alex Wurz was really making the most of his situation and pulling a good lead. But it's all been for nothing at the moment, because we've got Timo Bernhard in the Porsche in the lead.
A door open on a rebellion, that's not really correct, is it?
Well, it's very hot. It's very hot out there, so...
I don't think that's meant to be. Here comes the 14 car through past our position. I think that Rebellion's now leaving the pits, having had that door shut. Now, a battle that was really interesting and intrigued you was the GT Pro category. I mean, there was a great fight with the Corvettes. and the Ferrari, and not far behind was Darren Turner in the Aston Martin. 4 of them only a few seconds apart.
That's right. It was a fantastic start to the race for them as well. But again, in this situation, it's all changed, and now we've got Porsche 1, 2, Bergmeister and Holzer, and I'm actually not sure how they've managed to get there.
Safety cars maybe and things like that. We've had a couple of them, haven't we? And they maybe worked well with the safety cars, where a couple of cars have suffered with that.
And yeah, exactly. And a special mention for Pedro Lamy, who is in a Pro-Am car, and he's up in 4th place overall in GT. So he's in front of the pole-sitting Ferrari to start the race, who now is driven by Tony Villander. So we've got a good old mix down there, and it just shows you in the past when Pro-Am and Pro cars were fighting. Normally the Pro cars are all ahead of the Pro-Ams, but with the regulations being what they are at the moment, you're able to use pretty much the newer car to drive in Pro-Am, and therefore you're able to have a competitive race against the Pro cars.
Porsche is on its way on a bit of a push. He's got more traffic as the 7 Toyotas in hot pursuit. 6th place overall is our first P2 car, which I don't think they'd have expected to be up there, would they, as high as that? They're just actually coming in now for a stop. Driver change.
Again, they've kept it all together during the rain and during the safety car. Maybe got it slightly lucky, and there they are. But I mean, that crew is a great crew. They're established together, racing together, and a great outfit. So I think they kind of deserve to be up there. And you know, we've seen a few crashes, and we saw the KCMG car, who was leading early on, have a moment in the rain, and their lead was wiped out, and they had to pit for damage. So they're now running back. That's car 47. So they're now running back in 7th position in P2. So yeah, I mean,
think they actually went off twice, didn't they? Because I think they got going and then went and spun again when they came back out. So it's just a couple of little moments for those along the way, but. There's battles all over the place. So that lead change now, obviously for the P2s, because of the car in, there's a 34 in the pits, 36 now in the lead. Remember, obviously 41 and 48. 48 being Karun. We don't really know whether he was involved in someone else's accident or what, but it was a strange one, wasn't it?
It was again
against the barrier with someone else in the wet.
In a wet situation with slick tires on, and it looked. You know, we only really caught the end of it. We didn't see why it happened, but one of the cars certainly had bigger damage than the other one, so obviously there was a contact with the wall.
So as Bob said, we got 2 Audis left. We got 2 Porsches and 2 Toyotas, but 1 Porsche 5 laps down after fuel pressure or fuel-related problems earlier on, and then the other Toyota having been off.
Well, interestingly, Timo Bernhard, if you look at the pit stops, he's only stopped twice. And you've got Sarrazin, 3 stops, Trelaway, 3 stops, Christensen, 4 stops, and Prost, 5 stops. So that'll be the reason why he's in the lead. He's made 1 less stop.
Okay, the number 1 car in.
So that's Christensen now coming in
from 4th place. It's a driver change. Green helmet. Going in, Degrassi now going to take over that car. Interesting to see if they decide to change tyres. The last we believe that they were on a wet tyre, so fuel's in, drivers in, drinks bottles in.
And you need that today. It's very warm out there.
Here's our leader. I'm just curious to see whether they go back to the... Yeah, right, what's going on there then? That looks like a slick,
yeah.
It probably is slicks, but you've got to be on the line, haven't you? You've got to be careful now.
Yeah, it will dry very quickly. As I said, it is very warm. It's just... Right, so there we go. We've got Timo Bernhard coming into the pits now for that'll be the 3rd stop for the car.
Driver change as well, so that's going to be, I suspect... Well, we haven't... Oh, someone's straight on somewhere. It's a Ferrari.
Doesn't look like any damage.
No. I'm just going to try to... There goes the 20 car past us, which obviously is our race leader. He's now in the pit lane, waiting for the Toyota to go past. Just going to interested to see which driver they drop into there. That's 95 and 96. That yellow flag again is around Indianapolis area. The yellow flag, that's where that Ferrari is off. Okay, here comes the Toyota. So Sarrazin through and into the lead, which we knew would happen.
So it's car 60 that's off in the gravel now. So it's one of the Pro-Am GT cars.
Okay, it's been strange the front wheels aren't turning on that car.
I think it's just deep in the gravel. I think it can't. There we go. He got it completely wrong through the first part of Indianapolis and just anchored up to try and get it stopped before the wall.
Okay, slicks going on the what was the lead Porsche car number 20 in the pits. Okay, and that's the Audi. That should be the Audi. When our screen refreshes, that Audi has passed the pit lane, so that should put the Audi into second place.
That's right.
Porsche back on track, so it's Toyota, Audi, Porsche, then Audi. Okay, all on 3 stops, apart from car number 1, which has had an additional stop in the pits. Just thought I heard some cheering in the background then. I wasn't sure really what for, but we've got car 36 in the pits having a stop. Let's wonder who's going to get into that car. Okay, right, car 35 online. There's a switch of position in that category as well because of 36 in the pits. Okay, so yeah. So Sarrazin in the Toyota. He's done a 35.9 to Trillier's 38.4, so much quicker in the first split, or the first sector of this lap. And it's Brendan Hartley into the number 20 car.
Again, another young driver coming up through the ranks, been given the opportunity with Porsche this year to be a factory driver.
I saw a tweet from him at the start of the week, something along the lines of, the greatest week of my life starts here. It's kind of like what it's all about for these young kids.
It's a big thing for a driver. Mark Lieb going in now to car 20. Sorry.
14, you mean to 14?
Sorry, yeah, 14.
Yeah, the one that's obviously dropped was 4 or 5 laps down. As the number 1 Audi completes its first lap for Lucas Di Grassi once he's done that stop. So fuel's in, drivers in, tyres getting changed, everyone going on to slicks, which is the common thing. We thought there was going to be a little bit more rain around this time, but I think fortunately for the drivers, and it's not going to happen. You're going to have a look out.
I'm going to have a glance out the window and see. It's looking blue over there, so yeah, I think we've
cleared
okay.
that. Yeah, I think we've cleared that one. I mean, when we look out the front window, it looks fine. There's the 98 car into the pits, heavy on the brakes just for the speed limiter line, 60 kilometers an hour in the speed limit. 14 is out, and there's our race leader completing another lap. Car number 7 going past us and on his way. He's done 44 laps. 3 hours, 21 minutes. You've got to remember, 2 safety cars. The first one was quite a long safety car for the accident between car 3 and car 8, which was, and the car of Sam Bird's Ferrari. There was all sorts of cars caught up in that bump, which took a long time to clear up. So we look down it. So yeah, Sarrazin, Trillier, Hartley, Di Grassi, and then Prost is our top 5. And we've got a gaggle of P2s altogether. Now, what kind of gaps are they between them? There's actually 2.3 seconds between the first 2 in the P2 category, Frey and Brundle. That's a close back. We need to kind of get a picture on that, don't we? See what's going on there. Car 34 and 35. As we watch for them somewhere in and around.
Got 98 Aston in now. They were leading the Pro-Am class, and now Patrick Long takes over. Again, a nice fight between 3 different manufacturers up in the head of Pro-Am. In fact, actually, Pat Long has taken over the lead overall in GT. So he's now ahead of the Pro cars, but he will no doubt need to stop pretty soon, because we've had the 2 Porsches, the factory Porsches, Pro cars coming into the pits.
So that's a 77 car at the moment leading that category. So, as you say, at the start of the race, it was Ferrari, Corvette, Aston Martin. Now it's all Porsches now at the moment, all up there. So, big fight in amongst them as we...
The one thing I've seen from the Porsche is that in the difficult conditions, when it's a bit wet and or even very wet, and it just seems like an easy-to-drive car, and maybe slightly easier than some of the other ones, and therefore you can keep it on the track, keep up a bit of speed, and not lose out and not risk the car so much.
I'm still trying to keep an eye out to get a visual on the gap of 34 and 35, because that is only a couple of seconds. I can't. A slight risk of rain or a shower in 9 minutes.
So
that's quite accurate, 9 minutes.
Yeah. So our initial kind of prediction of rain, they think is going to come. So they're going to not risk too much and possibly go to inters.
And that was a number 8 Toyota. I suppose the number 8 car doesn't have anything to lose. It dropped an hour, basically 9 laps. From when it first crashed to when it got back onto the track being repaired was an hour, so 9 laps down. So yeah, if they have to make an additional stop pure and simply because of car 50 reported to the stewards for speeding in the pit lane. It's just flashed up on our screen. So I'm not really sure. The Ricky Taylor car, I'm not sure who was driving it at the time. So
they're quite down the order anyway.
Yeah. Right, I'm just looking at these gaps here on the LMP2 cars. Brundle is quicker on the splits, on the sectors there. So I don't seem to be able to manage to see them out of the window. On the main screen, obviously concentrating on the Toyota at the front. I'm trying to actually get a visual on that as they come past as well. So the Toyota here, getting this to be the car 8. We just heard the radio conversation. And here's car 35. This is Brundle here, and that's obviously the one he's fighting in front.
Yeah, I mean, on that last lap, he was 4 seconds faster, so we can't expect that he's going to close up on it.
Yeah. Beautiful sound from the cars. The car 2 Audi just coming in, Trillier coming into the pits. That's interesting. That's a 4 stop. So I'm going to put him out. These 2 cars can't get, these 2 P2 cars can't get past the GT cars in front of them at the moment. That could help. Here's the car 8.
Big lock-up coming into the pits, really pushing the limits on the way in there. Is that some kind of liquid coming off the roof, perhaps, or is that rain?
Where?
Just dropping down.
Oh. I think that could be coming off the roof. Yeah, I think that could be coming off. Right, they're heading towards us now. This GT2 battle's heading towards us. Here they are.
LMP2 battle.
LMP2, sorry.
This is the Judd versus Nissan power plant. So we might get a chance to see when they get through to the main straight whether which is a stronger engine.
In car with Alex as he climbs up. I didn't realise quite how steep that was as we walked up it yesterday. You know, it is a real elevation as you climb up there.
Exactly. I mean, you don't, from this angle, that's a little bit more realistic. You can see how steep it is coming back down again there. It's very fast down that hill. So we got the leaders 1 and 2 in LMP2.
that's it. So you got two cars here, same category, P2 cars. One closed cockpit, one not closed cockpit. What would you prefer to be? What's your preference? And Brundle's going to do him here. He's got it on the inside, and he's cleverly boxed in.
He has. He's a wise. That's a wise move.
That is a wise move.
I mean, he got the run on him anyway. I think he was slightly held up by the Aston there, but he might well come back. He's in the slipstream now. These cars make a big hole in the air, and the power plant obviously is not quite as strong as an LMP1 car. But I think in general, Brundle is slightly quicker, and he has caught Fry up anyway, so I think he's going to have a chance just to pull away now.
Yeah, what is it? Do you think there's advantages? Why do some cars in that category have open car and some a closed cockpit?
Well, gradually everyone will move over to closed cockpit because I believe that's the regulation that's on its way in. And so some manufacturers are ready for it, and some are gradually getting ready. Oh, Brundle's run wide, so he's given the place back.
All that hard work he's going to do again.
Yeah, the Ligier is a brand new car.
Yeah, first time the Ligier name here for a few years. I can't remember where I read and what I read. The 7-car Sarrazin into the pits now. So that's for his 4th stop. Now, depending on how quickly Hartley can get around and what kind of stop they're going to do on that Toyota, we could have the Porsche back in the lead.
Well, again, if we look at lap times, we've got Hartley doing a 3:38, and then we've got the Audi and Sarrazin doing 3:52, 3:50.
And that was there. Yeah. So...
but it could be that that's just their time going into the pit.
Maybe, yeah.
Having to slow down.
He's going well, though, isn't he, Brendan, in that car? Here he goes. He's heading towards the end of the lap now. Okay, that looks like fresh tyres. I don't know whether they... I don't think there was a driver change in that one.
They look to be Inters coming off that car.
Okay, well, we've got the Porsche is going to go past. Hartley is going to take the lead, because Sarrazin, I don't believe, was quite out of that pit road. He's not out the pit road, so slightly false, but because of the strategy difference and the pit stop changing. But Porsche back out. Well, yeah, because Trullier has been into the pits just before Sarrazin went in. So Hartley now leading. Sarrazin is 2nd and Trullier 3rd. De Grassi in car 1 is 4th, with Nicholas Prost in 5th. Remember that battle for P2 is Frey and Brundle got past and then made a slight mistake in outbraking himself and let the car back pass.
Back on his tail again now.
Yeah.
Right in front of us. Right on his tail. So great battle in LMP2. I think now we'll get to see Sarrazin on slick tyres, and we get to, and next time round we'll get to see what sort of lap time he's able to put in with those slick tyres. At the moment it looks like it's going to stay dry, but you never know. When it's hot like this, the clouds just roll in real quick.